Six Commonwealth Games after the state of Victoria pulled the pin yesterday, blaming a cost blowout. Former NZOC Secretary-General Karen Smith told One's Breakfast she believes the next edition will go ahead.
I'm really confident that there will be a Games, and we're just going to have to work really hard to find a host. And there's many cities that can host. It's just whether they can, make it happen in that time frame, but I'm sure we'll do it.
Get your Macca's favourites delivered with McDelivery. Broadcast sponsor of SENZ coverage of the FIFA Women's World Cup.
Yeah, welcome into Running It Straight here on SENZ. Big thanks to South Seas Healthcare, Auckland's largest Pacific wellbeing service provider. Great to have your company as we push through until 3 o'clock, talking rugby league, talking the Warriors and everything in between. You can flick us a text on 8833. You can comment on our YouTube channel as well. It's great to have everyone watching on YouTube Live as well. So send your questions through for myself and Kemp, and we'll get through as many as we can before 3. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to chat with Warriors number 6, Luke Metcalf. It's been a couple of weeks in the making, Kempy. We finally got through to him on the phone. So we have a chat to Luke Metcalf, who's just playing fantastic football at the moment. And then we'll also hear from Joey Tapine and Dylan Walker, who the Breakfast Boys chatted to this morning. So we'll hear from them a little bit after 2:30. But always kick off the show having a little chat about the weekend's game, Kempy. And given it was on Sunday, we've had 2 or 3 days to, I guess, sit back and reflect. And what was probably the Warriors', you'd say, the best performance of the year so far?
Statistically, you'd say was the best performance, Sammy. 40 completions out of 44 sets. I've had plenty of football and buried a decent South Sydney Cronulla team in the. I'm just gonna sort of say, like, it's the best performance up against the top 4 side that I've seen for a very, very long time. You know what I mean? So statistically, when you look at it, the stats for once, the Warriors and the way that they've played have absolutely gone on with the job. And there was a part of the game, there's a part of the game there early on in the second half where they started a bit slow, and then the big second row for Cronulla gets the charge down off Sean, gets called back. It was a decent try, and thank God there is a bunker there to call it back. But the changes the face of the game.
Did you say thank God for the bunker? Well, Tony,
for the Warriors' sake, that it could have been a different story to the game, but. On the back of that call, a couple of sets later, and the Warriors go over. It's sort of the catalyst for them to move on with the 44-12 win. So a pretty good game given the Sean Johnson scenario over the last 2 weeks. Is he in? Is he out? I think personally for me, around the middle of the park, like the game against South Sydney, first game home. Post that game in the rain where South Sydney's come in and really done a job on our middle had a chance to just thank the faithful and say, well, here's a top 4 side that we're up against today, and we're really going to take it to them. And for me, I learned a couple of things, Sammy. One of them, and we'll have a little chat to Dills Walker on the show, was that Dills Walker, it's really important that role remains there for Dills Walker. Not to, as we get to the back end of the season, that they play around with it and throw him into all different positions. I think he is that player that complements the Tohu Harris style, and really makes a massive impact when he comes on and plays that middle role of a ball playing, fast feet, finding your ground, bringing momentum back into the team. Role that he's been playing and being the best at it in that number 14 position. So, yeah, it's really interesting. The last 7 minutes were interesting as well when Sean went off with an injury. Let's touch wood and make sure that doesn't happen, because I don't think we've got the same type of game if Sean isn't there in the form that he's in. But other than that, when you look at what happened last week and then the addition to the team this week, I think the team this week against Canberra actually gets a little bit better.
Yeah, Maratini Akora coming back in. We'll talk a little bit about the game at just after 2:30, and we'll have a look at the team lists too. The first win the Warriors have had against the top 4 side going back to 2021, where it was round 3 against the Raiders, which we talked about on Sunday, Kempy. That's 2 games into the season, it's hardly a barometer. So really the first time they've been a top 4 side in a lot of many years, and it does feel like the Warriors are turning the script on every sort of historic narrative that's been playing out over the last couple of years. So, a lot of people across the ditch as well talking about the Warriors as top 4. They've got a big game against the Raiders this Friday night. There's going to be a bit of rain about too, which is going to make for a very interesting clash. I thought Wade Egan had a great game, Kempy, and we were having a conversation on Sunday. We actually had it last week as well, but it spewed onto Sunday about Wade Egan and some similarities that have been painted between him and Cameron Smith. And I just want to play you a little clip from the SEN boys over in Sydney on 1170.
Wade Egan is the closest I've seen to playing like Cameron Smith. Oh, jeez. No, in the sense of how he engages the markers. It's watch Cameron Smith tapes and then watch Wade Egan.
Do you know what I was thinking about this today?
Timing.
Thoughts, Tony Kemp?
Well, the thoughts are the 2 blokes at the back goes, oh, come on. That's my thoughts. Look, there's nothing against the way that Wade Egan is playing at the moment, because he's in season-defining form. You know what I mean? Like, he signed an extended contract to 2025. But mate, if I'm taking accolades to be a hooker that plays like Cameron Smith, I'm taking them. But he's not Cameron Smith.
No, Cameron Smith is the greatest hooker of all time, arguably the greatest player of all time. But I do take the point that there are elements of his game, particularly, and this has always been the thing that impresses me about Wade Egan the most, is his ability to catch the markers off guard, right? Whether that's faking with his body, whether it's picking the right side. He's become so astute, Kempy, at being able to read in and around the ruck and catch guys out of position, which, it led to a try on the weekend that tried to Luke Metcalf. He set him up after going through the hole himself, but so many times it just gives Adam or Mitch Barnett or who it is running through that extra half step to bend the line a little bit. So I think
look, I agree, but there's more to it than just Wade Egan being deceptive. It's called deception at dummy half. That's the word you were looking for, where he may be faking one way, going the other way, splitting the markers, and the other part is choosing the correct pass to pass, whether it be to a forward, whether it be to a halfback, on a consistent basis. Now, the reason he's able to do that is because of the form of his forwards. So you've got Tohu Harris, Aidan Whanua, Blake Maratanua, Kore, Mitch Barnett laying a ruck for him where he gets to do that. And hence the season-defining form isn't just about Wade Egan, it's about the whole team. That's when you start to get the people comparisons and the promotion of this player looks like this player and he's going as well as this player. It's just not one player. So on the back of, like I've said this, the Warriors forward pack are arguably the top 4 forward packs in the competition. And when they're playing, like they've come up against the team sitting 4th on Sunday afternoon, they've tailed them up. Absolutely tailed them up. In the first 10, 15 minutes, it looked like they were all over them, the Cronulla forwards, but they just, they were those, rotunded, not as fit forwards as what the Warriors were, and the Warriors ran over them in the next 2/3. So, look, all hats off to Wade Egan, but at the end of the day, you've got to be saying that it's more like he's getting that opportunity because of the way the majority of the forwards are going in that team, and good on him. Yeah, no, I do agree. We've got to take a break because Luke Metcalf is going to join us on the show after this. Of course, the Warriors number 6 playing in great form at the moment alongside the rest of the team, as Kempy mentioned. So we will take a short break here on Running It Straight thanks to South Seas Healthcare, Auckland's largest Pacific wellbeing service provider. Luke Metcalf coming up after this.
Well, joining us on Running It Straight now, I'm going to say third time lucky, Kempy. We've been hounding him for a couple of weeks now, but it is great to have the Warriors number 6 on. Boy, he's travelling well at the moment, and the fans have just been begging us to have him on and to ask him a couple of questions. So joining us on the line now, very special privilege to have Luke Metcalf out of the Warriors. G'day, Luke.
Hey, boys. How are you?
Hey, Luke, we're all good, mate. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us on Running It Straight. Mate, your form is outstanding. You've got to be happy at the moment.
Yeah, it's obviously good to be playing with the boys at the moment. It's obviously pretty easy to get on the back of some boys like Adnan and Sean, Toby Harris, who are playing well. So I'm just trying to fit in where I can in the team and just find my role. I still feel like I'm doing that at the moment. So as long as I can just keep doing that, I think I should be fine.
Mate, I was talking to Sammy on Saturday night when we were calling the game, and there was that moment there where Sean's put that little kick through. You've obviously given him the wink. And I've seen that happen so many times before when halves actually, they start to get on the same page and it can become really dangerous. Are you feeling really confident now knowing your role and what Sean's doing? And do you feel that sinking of your form happening with them?
Yeah, well, first I've got to put that kick down to the old the GOAT, Stacey Jones. He's the one who's been coming up with that little play.
You know, Stacey used
don't
to
start this
have a
yarn
really
now,
good
Kempy.
kicking coach.
He claims us every time, Luke Kempy. It was always him who magically turned Stacey Jones into the player that he was.
Well, yeah, I've got to give him a little bit of credit there. But, yeah, obviously, like you're saying, it's good to sort of be playing with Sean, and I think it helps that we're pretty good mates off the field, so I feel like our on-field chemistry is just getting better every single game. And, yeah, like you said, he sort of can look up at each other and give each other little signals and certain things that I want him to do, or if he wants me to get him the ball. I feel like it's just getting better every game.
Luke, the team has been playing fantastically well over the last couple of games, and you yourself specifically have really taken another step up and really improved your game. Just from you personally, where do you feel like that major improvement in your game has come from? I guess when you first were getting that start regularly for the first grade team, it was a bit of a step up. You may be just finding your feet a little bit. Now you just seem a lot more, I guess, confident. What specifically about your game do you feel has gone to the next level over the last couple of games?
Yeah, so obviously when I first came in, I was just really concentrating just on my support play and just trying to really get that up. But now I feel like I'm getting my hands on the ball a little bit more, getting sort of when we're going a bit set for set with teams. I feel like I'm sort of getting the ball in my hands, like in certain positions, how I like to get it. I think the boys are starting to understand how I like to play and how I like to run the ball and stuff like that. So yeah, I feel like that's probably the main thing. The sort of understanding where I like to get the ball and getting the ball off late or down a short side or off a shift out the back of one of the middles. So I feel like that's probably the main thing now.
Webby's talked a lot in the last few weeks about the team's identity sort of centering around, I guess, defence. And when you look at Sunday's game against the Sharks as a team that we know can score points for fun, so to restrict them to such a small total is quite a big achievement. But you know, you guys seem to be having a lot of fun on attack as well, Luke, and that shows by the scorelines that we've been seeing over the last month or so. Just from your perspective, and I guess the playing group's perspective, how do you describe that team identity? Is it centred around defence, or do you sort of take just as much pride in what you guys are doing on attack as well? Yeah,
I think you said it right. The defence, obviously, it's a cliche saying it wins premierships, but I think it's true because you look at all the teams that won in the past, they're all really good defensive teams. So, yeah, I think we take a lot of pride in that, and we do a lot of work and a lot of film sort of on our defence, and we were pretty happy with, I think it was 10 points we held Cronulla to, a pretty handy attacking team. So it's not easy to do that. So, yeah, obviously the defence is our number one thing that we want to get right. But, yeah, like you said, it's always fun when you're flowing on attack, but they can sort of flow both your defences on, then I feel like it flows into your attack too. So they're both on, and I think we're going to be going pretty good.
They sort of go hand in hand, don't they, Luke? You know, like you've got possession of the football, you know, you keep your breathing right, and then you get into the game, you keep behind your kick chase and stuff like that. Just talk about your middle. You know, your middle, when they do the job for you, both you and Sean seem to have a lot more easier time in the back of it. If you look at that game against the Roosters and Souths where your middle wasn't so good, it doesn't go so well. So how important have those blokes like the Aiden Whanua, Blake Tohu Harris, Dylan Walker when he comes on been for your team?
Yeah, we're spot on there, Kempy. It's, yeah, like you said, when you got people like Aden So Harris, Dylan Walker, Bunty Fowler, Mitch Barnett, he's been coming back, and still got Murata Niokore to come back from suspension. So when you got those sort of guys laying the platform and allowing, like I said, allowing Sean to dig into the line and create some space for him, it just makes it so much easier as a ball player when you got those guys just going forward for you. It's just crazy. They can generate some ruck speed and just create whatever they can. Also, Adam's got his offload, and Toy Harris has got his little short ball that he loves there. So it's it just creates so much space and time for us ball players. It's so fun to play at the back of.
Luke, a couple of questions in from the listeners when we mentioned that we had you on, so I'll rattle off a couple of these for you from the Warriors pages. First one comes in from Daniel, says, just want to know how Luke's adjusting to managing the hammy and the running style, and whether he's 100% fully confident with it or if there's more upside to come. Basically, I want to know if in 2 months' time he's going to be faster than he is.
No, hammy's feeling good. Obviously, I just got to keep staying on top of it and not getting complacent with it, because that's the thing that I've sort of learnt over the last couple of years with having trouble with it. Is just when you sort of feel like you're doing okay and you might let your prep and your rehab sort of slip, and that's when something can go wrong. So I've just sort of been every training session, every game, I've just been making sure I do the prep I need to do for it. It might take a while, it might be a bit annoying sometimes, but I know that if I want to be on the field, that's the stuff I've got to do. So as long as I stay on top of all my prep and rehab sort of stuff, I know I'm going to be cool. And I'd like to be just faster in another 2 months. So I'll see how it goes. No, I'm 100%. I'm just waiting. Yeah, want to stride out, get the ball in my hands and try and stride out. Hopefully. Yeah.
Well, that ties into our next question from Hugh, who says, "Can Luke beat DWZ in a foot race?"
I'm not too sure. DWZ is pretty quick, though. I'd like to think so, but I'm not too sure. We've never really had a race or anything, but it'll be close.
Who do you think's the fastest, mate? Who do you think's the fastest in the team over 100 metres?
Oh, probably either us two, if I'd say. But I'm not too sure. Dale's pretty quick. When that mullet gets going, I think it's got some performance-enhancing things to it. So I'm not too sure.
Hey, just talking about that, Luke, like the extras, have you realised now, you've got Tomorrow Martin breathing down your neck, and it's not just at 5'8", but across the board you've got players that are playing out of their skin in career best form. How's the extras going, and have you realised how important it is just not to show up to training but to do all that?
Yeah, 100%. That's the massive thing I learned, especially with the last injury I had. Because I always thought I was good at preparing and good at doing all that sort of stuff, and then after I hurt myself, I didn't realise how much more I actually could be doing for myself, even on an off day or after training, all the extra stuff I could be doing. So, yeah, I feel like I just got to keep doing all that stuff. And as long as I do that, I know I'm going to be healthy. I know I'm going to be like 100% ready to go come every game, every training session. So, yeah, as long as, like I said before, as long as I just stay on top of that, then just focus on myself, and I know I'm going to be good.
Are you loving the number 6? Luke, is that sort of where you see yourself in the future, or do you have, I guess, desires to play elsewhere?
Yeah, obviously at the moment playing 6 is cool, playing outside Shawnee and still learning off him, because I'm still 24, so still got things that I can learn. But yeah, obviously when in the next couple of years or however long it is, I'd like to play number 7. That's something that I want to do in my career. I want to test myself, and when I was a junior, I was always a halfback, so that's something that I'd love to do when I'm older. But right now, yeah, I'm loving playing with Shawnee, and that 6 role is the more I can learn off him, the better. So, yeah, I'm happy with doing what I'm doing at the moment.
I'll tell you what, Luke, and this is just a tip from an ex-player, 24, next minute you're 28, next minute you're retired. It goes really, really quick. So the decisions that you're going to have to make over the next few years are really critical. It tends to lead me to this next question. Now, I know that Benji is looking for a halfback and he's driving all the way through the competitions looking at young 20-year-olds. Have you had a conversation with West Tigers?
No, I haven't had any conversation. I'm still off contract. Still on contract till the end of next year. So I don't even think I've spoken to the Warriors yet. I haven't spoken to anyone yet. But yeah, I'm just enjoying playing my footy at the moment. But yeah, I haven't really had any convos with anyone, the Warriors or anyone outside the Warriors as of yet. So yeah, but I'm just want to keep playing good footy and see what can come off the back of that.
Yeah, because I only lead into that because I know with the form that you have is that, there's going to be 15, 16 other NRL clubs going, man, that Luke Metcalf's going to be a good one to get who can solidify our halves pairing. As we know, there's not that many to go around in the competition. Have you thought, and this leads me into this next question, have you thought, and Sean's just signed for one more year, being the marquee half at the club?
No, it's something I really haven't thought about. Like, I don't know, that's probably going to sound like I'm just like I'm lying or anything like that, but I'm just actually really enjoying doing what I'm doing at the moment. Like, to be able to learn off Sean, and even tomorrow to be able to learn off those guys, it's been good for me, and I just feel like every game I'm stepping up and finding a bit more of a role in the team and playing that sixth position. But like I said, obviously it's something I would love to fill the halfback jersey at some stage, and that number 7 jersey. It's something that I want to do when I'm older. But yeah, I'm not too focused on that at the moment. We're playing such good footy at the moment. All I can think about now is just playing every game and trying to cement that number 6 jersey, and then hopefully make a good run into the finals.
Mate, something that I always love hearing about, particularly from players not from New Zealand, so the Aussie boys, is how you view the club identity and culture. And Webby talked about this on Sunday in his post-match, talking about how much of a family vibe they're creating, and obviously celebrating Matariki, which is a Māori holiday over here. Just from your perspective, what sort of culture and identity do you see at the Warriors?
Yeah, it's a real big family one. It's actually crazy. I get a lot of people actually asking me about this, and I actually can't explain to them how family orientated the club actually is. And I think they like you said, there's a lot of Aussie boys, there's a lot of boys who aren't actually from Auckland who are like playing here, and it just makes it so much better. It makes it easy for the partners too, because I feel like if like your partners or your kids, if they're settled down, I think it's going to make it easier for the player. So all the partners are always doing stuff together. They're always going out and getting a drink, going for dinner and stuff like that. And I think that makes it easier, because if your other half's doing well, then you're doing well. But yeah, and on the field and off the field, all the boys are really close. We're always going to get a coffee or going to get some lunch. But yeah, it's a really good vibe at the moment. And Webby's actually really, I'm not too sure what it was like before he was here, but yeah, but I feel like he's brought a nice sort of culture here, and yeah, I think everyone's loving it at the moment. Especially it helps when you win it on the field, but off the field it's really good too.
Yeah.
It has been quite good there a couple of times, Luke, and it's really good to see it bringing back. Look, when I looked down on the football field on Sunday afternoon after the game, and I saw your girlfriend giving you a cuddle as you're walking off the pitch, and the jovialness of the two of you has really brought back memories about what it is when you're building that sort of DNA through the club. What part of that, as a 24-year-old, when you've got a partner, is that success built on? Like, does she offer that, when I'm talking about extras and the type of support that you need from people off the field, does she play a big part in your life?
Yeah, she does. Yeah, we've been together for a while. We have, so we're engaged now. So she actually plays a massive part. All little things like you're saying, Kempy, like when you're coming home, you might be getting home a bit late because you've been getting treatment or doing video and doing all that sort of stuff, and you've been away all day. So yeah, she'll literally do anything for me. If I've got to go get treatment any time in the morning or do anything, she doesn't care. She'll get up and wake up and drop me off, or she'll do whatever. So she's awesome, and yeah, like I was saying before, it makes it so much easier when you got someone there helping you, and really. Oh yeah, and I come home and I'll start talking about footy, and she'll have no idea what I'm talking about, but she'll agree and just nod her head like, yep, I get you. I'll be talking all technical, but I'll be watching my game on TV the next morning or something like that. She'll be there watching it with me, listening to me just friggin' critique myself, and yeah, it's really good.
Sounds like when I'm talking about rugby league with Kempy, has no idea what I'm saying. Hey, Luke, a big game this Friday night, obviously against Canberra back home, which is fantastic. Going into the bye, and then from a pundit and a fan point of view, a pretty decent run home for us. Now, look, I know you're probably going to give the cliche answer of focusing on one game at a time, but there must be a sense within the group. There must be a sense of excitement that finals football is well and truly on the cards, and potentially a home final as well.
Yeah, finals. Well, that's what everyone wants to play for, eh? So yeah, I'm pretty excited. Hopefully, we can just keep winning games, and it's good. We've got pretty sure we've got a few home games now to end the season, so that's exciting. Hopefully, we can keep having good crowds out at Mount Smart. But yeah, I'm just excited. Just hopefully we can keep winning, and yeah, like I said, if a home final came, I couldn't imagine the atmosphere around Auckland. It'd be ridiculous. So yeah, if we can keep, like I said, if we can keep winning, and that could happen, that would be awesome.
You have no idea, Luke. Let me tell you, if you make the finals and you finish in the top 4, you'll never want to leave. And this is, I'm just going to leave you on this before we let you go, mate. I don't really talk about my favourite players, but you're my favourite player at the Warriors, and you remind me a hell of a lot of my career when I first started heading over to Australia and wanting to play in those positions and get an opportunity, and you just grabbed it with both hands. And I hope you got a really good manager, mate. A little bit of advice. I hope you got a really good manager, because you're sitting, when I'm looking at it, sitting on the cusp of a really big career decision, especially with the Warriors in and around this marquee halfback spot. I'll offer you my hand, mate. If you ever need to talk about something, give us a call, because I'd love to give you some advice around that. But you're going fantastic. I hope you can keep that form going through to the semi-finals. I hope you can take us to the top 4, because I think we're a chance, if we make the 4, of actually bringing that trophy, which has eluded us for so long, back here to New Zealand. You keep going well, mate. All the best against Canberra on Friday night. We'll be calling the game here on SENZ, and we've loved having you on Running It Straight today.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Kemp. I really appreciate you talking to you today. And same as you, Sammy. Thanks, mate. But yeah, like you said, I'm keen to, if we get that top 4 finish, and can see what we can do from there. And yeah, excited.
Yeah, no, it's an exciting time. Luke, thanks heaps for joining us. That was Luke Metcalf there, out of the Warriors. Love the man love there between Kempy and Luke at the end. Kempy,
Of course.
Your favourite player. I like that, though.
Favourite player,
No, he is
mate.
playing fantastically at the moment, man. He is so exciting to watch. So many different players of old come to mind when you see how Luke plays the game, and
Mate,
just
I
so in
thought his
sync.
game
So in
was
sync.
tough. I thought his game was tough on the weekend. You know, like he got challenged there when Nico Hines went through and stepped up the rest of the game. So long may it continue, Sammy.
Yeah, hopefully, like he said, takes us through into the finals. We'll take a break here on Running It Straight, just for news, sport and weather. Lots of comments coming through on YouTube Live, as well as on 8833, the text line. Keep those coming in. We're also going to hear from Joey Tapine and Dylan Walker between now and 3 o'clock as well. But first, we'll get some news, sport and weather. Running it straight here on SENZ, 25 minutes away from 3. Lots of comments on the YouTube Live coming through here. Lots of support for Luke Metcalf, and Dom's just said great questions and advice to Luke there from you, Kempy. Regan said 40-0 to the Raiders, and then he comes back quickly and says Warriors by 22. And JC just giving us a shout out in the commentary box, which we appreciate. JC. A quick question here from James that says, Kempy, thoughts on the bench make up this Friday? Rain in the forecast. You would think having Curran and Sirinen would be better options than having Ali and Lussick. Ciro and Walker can cover Egan. And just before I get to that for you, Kempy, for people that maybe didn't hear the team list last night, it is pretty much unchanged from the game against the Sharks, only that Maratini Akore comes into that second row starting position, and Bunty Afoa is back into the prop, so that means Mitch Barnett starts on the interchange alongside Dill Walker, Tom Ale and Freddie Lussick.
Yeah, look, it's a good question, but I think with Bunty Afoa going back on his side and Tom Ale, that they get to rotate those two around in and around Tohu and Aiden's length of time that they play in the middle of the park. Therefore, it's important to carry Lussick as a cover for Wade Egan, given that he has still those HIAs, which we learnt from earlier in the year. So I'm not surprised. I have to say, honestly, I said to Sammy on Sunday afternoon that I think the changes will come. I still think there's another couple to come, given that Tavaga and Tomorrow Martin will come back. I think that's when you will see the Tom Ale and probably Lussick being moved through the 18-19 numbers, because you'll have Bunty Afoa at that stage probably go to the bench if Jazz Tavaga comes back. So it's an interesting time for the coaching staff, interesting time for Webby when he's, you got to remember, Sammy, we haven't had the luxury of picking all the best players yet.
No.
And we've still got two to come back.
Pretty tough assignment for Bunty this Friday night as well against Josh Papali'i. I think Eden will do a good job against Joey Tapine. That'll be a great matchup. But Bunty against Josh Papali'i, he's got his hands full in that opening sort of 20 minutes or so when we know Papali'i does his best work. Speaking of Joey Tapine, he spoke with you boys on the breakfast show this morning, Kempy, as in Kempy for breakfast. So we thought we'd just bring you a little bit of that. Joey Tapine, of course, playing prop for the Raiders. He's starting the number 10 jersey this Friday. Also plays for the Kiwis. So here's him having a chat to the breakfast boys.
Yeah, that's right. We've got on the line with us 2022 Mal Meninga medal and being named in the 2022 Daily M Team of the Year, Kiwi International with 16 tests, 181 Canberra appearances. Joseph Tapine from Wellington joins us on the line this morning. Joe, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, bro.
The front five that you got there, the forward pack, I had a look at it this morning, all internationals, from Whitehead, you got yourself and Papali'i up front, and New South, and the young boy in the back row who's just played in the New South Wales team. How are you guys prepared for this game, given the fact that the 300th game for Jared Crocker didn't quite go the way it should have done down in Canberra?
Yeah, that still kind of burns with the boys, and we didn't turn up for Croaks that day, but our strength is our middle, and that's where we'll try to play. But they got a strong middle as well, so it's going to be a good challenge.
You're 3 straight, Joe, and you started making those amends to that loss against the Warriors. What has changed in those last couple of results to be able to get the job done?
Yeah, I think we just refocused. It was a bit of a wake-up call. We've had a couple of those this year with big losses, and we have to refocus on the little things. I think we're in a great position on the ladder where we still get sprayed, but it's coming from a good place from the coaches. If we're at the bottom of the ladder, that's a bit different. We're running shuttles, so it's just a bit of a change of mindset.
Oh, you'd handle those shuttles, mate. You're fit as a fiddle. Hey, just talk to us a little bit about that from a Kiwi perspective. Ricky's used to playing with a lot of Kiwis. He's had Johnny Lomax there, Quinton Ponga, Ruben Wiki when he was actually a player. But as a coach, how have you found him, especially being a Kiwi in that Australian environment?
Yeah, he's good. He's a people person. He builds relationships, and that's how he coaches. And that's a big part of how I play. I like playing for people. So, yeah, he's been great for me. And we butted heads in the past, but it's all turned out good.
So the result against the Warriors, on the scoreboard, you probably reflect and say, yeah, we weren't able to get the job done. But from my memory, in that game, you had a hell of a lot of the ball, it's particularly in that first half, but you weren't able to execute. So you'll be going into this game full of confidence. How are you able to execute against a Warriors team who has shown resilience in defence?
Yeah, I think what they've been doing is kicking into corners, playing that boring footy, but it's effective. That's what we need to do. Hold the ball, put it in the corners, and let them bring it out. They got a strong back three, and my bro Nuck's been playing mean, so got to try a jam one in his ribs and get them get them on the back foot.
That's hey, Tups, that's the thing I like about you, mate. You're old school and you like mixing it. Mate, what do you make of the form this year of the forward pack from the Warriors? You know, Aiden Whanua, Blake, Tohu Harris, Dills Walker coming off the bench. You guys spoke much about that?
Yeah, I think we got a meeting soon, but they got a good balance. They got Aiden, who's a good ball carrier. They got Tohu and Dills, who are good ball players. So they got a good balance of running and playing the ball. So that's the thing we got to look at in combat. But yeah, we just got to play our game and drag it real dirty in the middle.
Joey Tapine there catching up with the Breakfast Boys, and he'll be playing a lot of his Kiwi teammates on Friday night. Kemp, who he spent time up in the UK with during the World Cup. So, yeah, he's going to hit a little bit harder, which on a few certain players.
Dragging it really dirty in the middle, okay? So there's an indication of Ricky Stewart getting stuck into the forward pack, and they've got a decent forward pack, Sammy. You know, Corey Horsburgh on the back played for Queensland, Elliot Whitehead, New South Wales, England, Hudson Young, New South Wales, Joe Tapine, Josh Papali'i, internationals, and Zach Wolford coming out of dummy half with plenty of experience. When we talked about the middle over the last couple of weeks, given that the rain's coming down and the game between South Sydney and the Roosters, I know Ricky would have done his homework. He's going to put a lot of emphasis on his kick chase. He's going to put a lot of emphasis on just the way that the middle needs to show up and play this game. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think like I said this morning on breakfast, this is probably the most important game of the season.
Let's hope the weather isn't too bad, Kempi, because I know they are looking at another sellout, and you know the rain last time was a damper on that Rabbitohs game, and on that Rabbitohs game. A lot of questions coming in here on YouTube Live about the wet weather, and we know they struggled against both the Roosters and the Bunnies. Is it third time lucky for Webster, do you think, hopefully on Friday night?
Well, you know, once you'd let it go, twice is a coincidence. If it happens a third time, then we know we've got a problem, given the fact that it rains. It doesn't rain that much in September in Sydney. You know what I mean? If we head there, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. But if it rains, we know what we need to do. We know where the game's going to be played, and we know now that if we don't show up, because it's basically put on the middle of the park. If we don't show up in the middle of the park, I think then there's serious questions that need to be asked. But I reckon they've learnt their lesson. I think the second time against South Sydney, they learnt their lesson. And I'm pretty sure if Webby and them are doing the forecast on the rain and it's going to be a bit wet, expect it with Marata Nuakure to be back up. Who better to have Marata Nuakure back and Mitch Barnett coming off the bench? I think they're ready for it.
Yeah, I don't think the Warriors had all their troops for that Roosters game either, so that has a little bit of an asterisk next to it. We'll take a break here on Running It Straight on SENZ. When we come back, we might hear from Dylan Walker, the Warriors utility, coming off the bench, arguably the 14th man of the year, probably will win Interchange Player of the Year, Kempi, and signing of the year for the unofficial award. So we'll take a break. Thanks to South Seas Healthcare, Auckland's largest Pacific wellbeing service provider. We'll come back with Dylan Walker after this. We're running it straight. We are 12 minutes away from 3. Going to hear from Dylan Walker, who caught up with the Breaky Boys as well this morning. We talked about Luke Metcalf, Dylan Walker having the season of his career as well. Like I said, probably going to be interchanged player of the year and just a massive difference maker in most of the Warriors' wins so far. Certainly on Sunday, Kemp and Andrew Webster alluded to that in the press conference. He can be the difference maker when he comes on the field, just adds that intensity through the middle.
Yeah, right on the money, Sammy, like you normally aren't. You got that one right. So
that was straight out of my Tony Kemp notebook that you left on my desk yesterday. So,
right, but you're right, though. He is the best 14 in the competition as far as we're concerned. We get the privilege of watching and calling him home and away every week. And that's what I mean. Like on the weekend, that role specific for me really cemented the importance that he doesn't get taken out of that role that he's playing at the moment. I think that's the best role that he plays for the team.
100%.
And I think, as we get these players back tomorrow, Jazz Tavaga, then I think then he continues to do that role for us for the rest of the year, and especially if we can finish in the 4 with him coming off the bench, mate, that's going to be really special.
Yeah, spot on. All right, well, let's hear from Dylan Walker, who caught up with Izzy and Kempi this morning.
Dylan Walker, who was up early, he'd go great in morning breakfast radio. Morning, Dylan. Appreciate you joining us.
No, thanks for having me.
Oh, mate, you're up early. What time's training start?
I'll be there 7:15. 7:15, sorry. But I like to get up a little bit earlier. It's a little quiet, so it's a bit of Dylan time.
Yeah, bit of Dylan time. You need that time to be able to reflect and refresh, mate. Look, let's rip straight into it. I get a sense when you build resilience, you build trust, and you build clarity within your group. This is a team that's very clear with their mindset and accountability for each other. But I get a sense that you're a team that doesn't get comfortable. Is Andrew Webster pretty direct with his communication?
Yeah, because I think the detailed of our video when we watch games back, I feel like we're trying to be perfect, and when you're trying to be perfect and you're trying to do everything right, I feel like you get a sense of trust and resilience throughout the team. But at the moment, I feel like as well is we just got players that are just everyone's reliable at the moment. Like everyone wants to. We don't care about the flashy play. We don't really care about scoring points. We care about being reliable and then, being there for your mate. And I think that's a good trait to have. And it's what we've built on too. It's not being happy for anything less or anything as a substandard part. And I think it's just very calibrated. Our whole squad of meaning like everyone's just elevated their game, and it's really nice to reap the rewards when people are starting to do those little 1% football terms that you can just rely on people that are around you, and I think that's a special part about it.
Hey, Dils, you actually answered the question then, because I know that you've got a couple of blokes that are Bailey Sirinen and Josh Curran have gone back to the 18th, 19th men, and Murata comes back, and you're starting to get all your boys back on deck. So all the best for this Friday night. Thanks a lot for joining us. Just really quickly, have you had a call from Madge yet about playing for the Kiwis in the year against the Kangaroos?
No call from Madge. Mate, it would be nice, but I don't know how that's going to go. Just with I've played a game for Australia back in the day, and
yeah, but you ain't Australian, you're Kiwi. So we'll sort that out for you, eh? Thanks a lot for joining us this morning, Dills.
Thank you very much, and don't take it lightly on Macca's.
No, not at all.
That's good. That was good from you, Kempi. Someone's just texted in here as well saying that Jordan Rapana is one of the keys for Canberra this weekend. He's someone that you sort of forget about, Kempi. You look at the forward pack and the Jack Whitens, etc. But yeah, Jordan Rapana, who generally fires up against the Warriors because he loves playing against his Kiwi teammates.
Yeah, look, I think it's who sets that ruck up best for their halves and releases the outside backs. I think they did a really good job down in Canberra, the Warriors, against Crocker in his 300th game. There's all that motivation there. So look, every time I look at the Warriors team, I think it's stronger this week. So I've got no problem with them setting the target.
We'll take a short break on Running It Straight here. We'll wrap the show after this. We are coming up to 3 o'clock and a hand over to the run home very shortly. Lots of texts and comments on YouTube, and sorry we couldn't get through all of them, but we do see them coming through. It's great to have you listening and great to have your support as well. We will be live calling the game from Mount Smart, or Go Media Stadium Mount Smart, on Friday night between the Raiders and the Warriors. Build up from about 7, kick off at 8 p.m. Kempy, finally a quick prediction from you. What's going to happen Friday?
Look, I think it's going to be close. I think it will go down to the wire, especially if there is a little bit of rain, but I'm picking the Warriors with Marata Nuakura coming back to get the job done.
13 plus?
No.
12 and under?
Yep.
Try scorer?
I'm not giving you that till Friday night, so you're going to have to tune into me and Sammy on Friday night.
I'll tell you what,
just before the game.
He's running hot. He's running hot at the moment, Kempy. It pains me to say, but he's doing it. Just don't count your chickens before they lay their eggs, Tony. That is us for another week on Running It Straight.
It took you nearly 59 minutes to get that out.
We'll be back next Wednesday from 2 o'clock, but we'll see you on Friday night for Warriors Raiders from Go Media Stadium, Mount Smart.
Kennard's Higher Branch, Ken Oath.
Good afternoon.